of good. The goddess, tantric, on the burning ground, seated like this, wearing a garland of skulls, horns coming out of her head, eyes bloodshot more or less, hands holding decapitated heads, and Shiva, as a devotee of the goddess, as a young man seated at left. How do we know it is Shiva? Because you can't see it very well in this particular painting, but just outside of the forehead, next to it, is a Chandra, the digit of the moon. So from this carnage, and I come back to the very first painting, who is going to save us? You and I have to decide. Is there someone who can save us? Is it Vishnu? Perhaps. Or is it the goddess? Or is Shiva coming at hurtling speed on the Nandi bull for you and me? Because the battle is not over. The battle is on. It never was. It never was over. There's something deeply moving about the way the painter thinks, about the way the texts run, about the manner in which this imbalance, restored to balance temporarily, against slipping into chaos and imbalance. The politics of the heavens. Who knows? The last of my slides. May I thank you very much for your attendance, and may I thank you, Professor Sengupta. Thank you very much.
So, that was a fascinating session, raising a lot of questions and saying that the battle rages on. Yeah. And we know on a day-to-day basis also that the battle rages on. Professor Goswamy thinks that, there couldn't be any questions on your part, or are there? Yeah? Question or a comment? No, he's giving him a microphone. Yeah.
I am Shandip Banerjee, and my question is to you. That all these Indian paintings are drawn in which century?
Okay, all these are drawn in which century?
Basically, the range is from the 16th to the late 18th. I have not given an art historical lecture, so I didn't even mention, only once I mentioned a date, end of 16th century, or maybe 1740 I mentioned in connection with Manuku. But I mean, art history is art history, paintings are paintings, right? But basically from the 16th to the 18th centuries.
In the meantime.
All right, any other comments? I think, yes. Give her a microphone, please.
Do we find any comparison like this in Western art, classical art, such expressions of the demon?
Do you find equivalence of these in Western classical art, the way these things have been depicted?
There are You know, creatures of all kinds in Western art. I mean, if you look at the work of Hieronymus Bosch, for instance, right? And so on. I mean, but these nuances, the subtleties in our thought are not, in a certain sense, there are no equivalents of that, as far as I'm concerned, in Western thought. There are, I mean, if you look at the mythology of the Romans or the Greeks and so on, there are extraordinary things in that also. But this kind of a layering of thought that we have in our own texts or in our heads is something that I think does not belong to the dichotomy, you know, this Aristotelian kind of this, it's either this or that. We say it's neither this nor that, but this and that, and so on. It's a once again a raging battle of philosophy. I mean, how do we think and how does the West think and so on. But that's the way it is.
Sure.
I'm Amitabh Mukherjee. So you have shown the paintings of Kumbhakarna and Ravana. Is there any painting on Meghnad?
Yeah, there are.
How?
A whole range of them. We see him
In the form of demons.
No, he is
All right. Yeah. Anything?
I am M. Ali. I have heard that from Mr. Patnaik, Devdatta Patnaik, that concept of demon came from Zoroastrian religion in India thousands and thousands years ago. So is it true?
Whether it came from the Zoroastrian.
I don't know enough about the Zoroastrian religion. I have good Parsi friends, but we never talked about demons. I mean, I don't know enough. I'm sorry, not able to answer that.
Okay, there's just one last. Yeah, who else?
Hi sir, I'm Shomadeep Rai. I had a question regarding the anachronism in the art, because regarding the anachronism in the art, since considering especially Manaku coming from a certain 18th century perspective, how much of the contemporary affected in the sense of their imagination of not just the history but in terms of the fantasy that they were creating?
You know, no art exists in a vacuum, right? So whatever is happening around will necessarily, you're not a hermit, I mean, you're not retired to the Himalayas and so on, cut off from the rest of the world. So these things, I mean, this is a kind of swirling thing which is happening, I mean, in the mind of the artist as much as in your mind and mine. You and I are sitting here, but at this time we're probably thinking of what is happening in Kashmir, right at this particular moment, things like that. So there are, I mean, you can't shut the world out, unfortunately, yeah? So the painters were creatures of their own times. Some of them are deeply influenced by contemporary events, contemporary characters. Others are able to, in a certain sense, to keep them at bay, something like that, right? You know, talking about art, I mean, I should probably have started with a wonderful couplet by Mir Taqi Mir. He says, "Le सांस भी आहिस्ता के नाजुक है बहुत काम आफाक की इस कारगहे शीशागरी का." When you enter this world, breathe gently and soft, for it's a fragile world, and anything, it's made of glass. It can crack if you walk roughly on this ground. So it's a construct. Yeah, comes from here. So whatever has gone into the making of the mind of the artist, you and I can only dimly guess at. Right? We don't know. We really don't know. I'm sorry, it's not
Thank you, sir.
an answer.
Right. Okay, this young man, this is the last one. Yeah. Go ahead. Take a microphone.
Hello, I'm Rahul Hemrom. I have a question like all these paintings are made according to the story or not?
Or all the paintings made according to the story, meaning
This is mythological story. Like one of the painting where Samudra Manthan, I have seen Lord Vishnu was sitting over the Parvat, but I know like Lord Brahma was sitting over there. So this kind of story, I was unable to.
You read it or something like this?
Yes, I read it, and I know from my elders like there's one side we get to see demons, and one side we get to see devatas. And under the Parvat there is a turtle, the incarnation of Lord Vishnu, the second incarnation of Lord Vishnu, and upper the Parvat we get to see Lord Brahma. But in the painting there I get to see three lords at the side, so that's why I want to ask.
No, I'm not aware of Brahmasara sitting himself on top of the Mandarachal mountain, but the turtle that you're talking about, this whole thing, in the avatar theory, this is the avatar of Kurma. Kurma, which is the turtle, who bears the Mandarachal Parvat on his own back. So Vishnu is the one I have seen, but if you've seen Brahma seated there, I'd be happy for you to share that image with me. Yeah?
possibly it lies in the eyes of the beholder also. You see something as Brahma or something as Vishnu, whichever way you want to see it.
Tulsidas says, Jis hi rahi bhavana jaisi, Prabhu Murat dekhi tin taisi.
Absolutely. So please join me in thanking Professor Goswamy for this fascinating session. I'm sure that all of you will be going out of this place, and every other person that comes your way must be wondering whether it's God in demon's form or demon in God's form. And you wouldn't be wrong in asking those questions. Thank you very much, and have a safe passage back home.